Imagine being 5 years old. You run outside every morning without thinking about tomorrow. The world feels endless. Every day looks like it will happen forever. Then one afternoon, something changes. A bird lies motionless beneath a tree. You wait for it to stand. It never does. You poke it with a stick. Nothing happens. You look at the adults. Their faces are different, quieter. Someone picks the bird up. Someone else says a word you have never truly understood. Dead. For the first time, your mind collides with an idea it cannot escape. Everything alive can stop living. At some point in history, a child asked a question that no other animal could ask. Why do we die? No fossil records that moment. No ancient writing preserves those exact words. Yet almost every human being eventually asks them. That question changed our species forever. Scientists often describe humans as the only animals fully aware of their own mortality. Other animals recognize danger. They avoid predators. Some even mourn members of their group. Elephants have been observed touching the bones of dead relatives. Chimpanzees sometimes stay beside a deceased infant for days. Dolphins have been seen supporting dead companions near the surface. These behaviors are remarkable, but there is little evidence they imagine their own distant future death the way humans do. We do something different. We picture tomorrow, next year, old age, and eventually, our own absence. Psychologist Ernest Becker believed this awareness became one of the greatest forces shaping civilization. In his Pulitzer Prize-winning book The Denial of Death, he argued that much of human culture exists because people struggle with knowing they will die. Whether every part of that theory is correct remains debated, but the question itself transformed history. Long before cities, long before writing, long before kings, there were burials. Around 100,000 years ago, humans in places like Skull Cave and Kafsay Cave carefully placed bodies into graves. Sometimes they added tools, sometimes red ochre, sometimes objects that served no obvious practical purpose. Archaeologists still debate exactly why. Were these symbolic rituals, expressions of grief, beliefs about another world? No one knows for certain, but they suggest something extraordinary. Death was becoming more than a biological event. It was becoming an idea. Thousands of years later, Neanderthals may also have buried some of their dead. The evidence remains controversial. Some archaeologists argue natural processes explain certain burial sites. Others believe intentional burials occurred. Even that debate tells us something. The origins of human thought are incredibly difficult to reconstruct. Yet one pattern keeps appearing. As human intelligence expanded, so did our relationship with death. Why? Because memory changed everything. You are not only alive in the present. You carry yesterday inside your mind. You imagine tomorrow before it arrives. Neuroscientists call this mental time travel. Research by psychologist Endel Tulving helped show that humans can mentally revisit the past while imagining detailed futures. That ability allows us to plan, to invent, to dream. But it also forces us to imagine something deeply unsettling. One day, the story inside our own minds ends. No tiger spends decades worrying about retirement. No deer lies awake wondering whether life has meaning. Humans do. Our greatest gift became one of our greatest burdens. And children often discover it first. Developmental psychologist Maria Nagy studied how children's understanding of death changes with age. Young children often believe death is temporary, like sleep or a long trip. As they grow older, they gradually realize something astonishing. Death happens to everyone. It cannot be reversed. And that includes themselves. For many children, this realization arrives quietly. Sometimes after losing a grandparent. Sometimes after seeing a pet die. Sometimes after asking a simple question that leaves adults searching for words. Will you die someday? The room suddenly feels smaller. Because there is no comforting answer that changes reality. Only different ways of understanding it. Some families explain death through religion. Others through biology. Others simply admit they do not know. Every civilization has built stories around this same mystery. Ancient Egyptians imagined a journey beyond the grave. The Greeks spoke of the underworld. Hindus described rebirth. Buddhists taught cycles of existence. Modern science studies cells, aging, and entropy. Different answers. The same question. Why do we die? And perhaps an even stranger question waits behind it. Why do we know that we will? That single question may have changed the direction of human history. Because once you know life ends, you begin searching for something that doesn't. You build monuments. You tell stories. You carve names into stone. You paint caves. You write books. You have children. You leave behind ideas. Almost everything humans create carries the same hidden message. I was here. Anthropologists sometimes call this symbolic immortality. It is the attempt to leave a part of yourself behind after your body is gone. Not through magic. Through memory. A painting can outlive its artist. A song can survive for centuries. A discovery can change lives long after its discoverer has died. In that way, every library is a conversation with the dead. Every museum is filled with people who no longer exist, yet still influence the living. Even this moment proves it. The words you are hearing depend on thousands of minds that came before yours. Languages evolved over countless generations. Scientific ideas accumulated one discovery at a time. Every breakthrough rested upon someone. Every breakthrough rested upon someone else's work. Death ends individual lives. But knowledge can continue traveling through time. That may be humanity's greatest adaptation. Biologists often describe evolution as the passing of information. Genes pass biological information. Culture passes learned information. Humans became extraordinary because we mastered both. Unlike most animals, we rarely begin from zero. A child born today inherits thousands of years of accumulated experience. You do not rediscover fire. You do not reinvent mathematics. You inherit them. Each generation becomes a bridge, receiving knowledge from the past, adding something new, then passing it forward. Death, strangely enough, makes this process necessary. If no generation ever disappeared, new generations would never take their place. Ideas would struggle to change. Societies might never evolve. Mortality creates loss. But it also creates renewal. Forests reveal the same pattern. Old trees eventually fall. Sunlight reaches the forest floor. New life begins growing. Nature constantly replaces itself. Not because it is cruel. Because change depends upon endings. The same principle appears throughout the universe. Stars are born. They burn for millions or billions of years.